This time on Greg's Garage, we take the 2013 Honda VFR1200F with dual clutch transmission for a spin. Talk to the sculptor of this dragon motorcycle, introduce you to a simple but theft-preventing helmet lock, talk to U.S. flat track #1 plate Jared Mees, give you some news, worldwide videos, and more. Hello everyone and welcome to Greg's Garage, your new power sports lifestyle show with a focus on motorcycles. We have a great one in store for you today. My name is Greg, and we're going to take you to California, to Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, and more for some motorcycle fun and information. Let's kick things off with a bit from Daytona Beach, Florida, where we ran into a metal sculptor who put his love of copper and motorcycles to good use.
I'm a metal sculptor now for 40 years, do a lot of copper work, which is what I've made this bike out of.
As a commercial sculptor, Kim gets to create someone else's vision, but with motorcycles, it's all him.
So the bikes is a real passion of mine that I really enjoy. I've made 3 sculpted copper bikes now. This is the 3rd one, and I just really enjoy it. I get to do something that I want to do. Most of my work is commercial work through designers and this and that. I have to do what they want me to do. Well, on the bikes, I get to do whatever I want to do.
The Dragon bike looks like art, but is it rideable?
Every bike I make is not just a show bike, but it's a comfortable riding bike. I put bags on them so you can put stuff in it and take off for the weekend. So this is a very comfortable bike to ride, and we ride it a lot.
This handcrafted marvel has a lot of love and time in it.
Each dragon itself, just the dragons, take about 3 weeks to make. They start off with small little pieces of sheet copper. I hammer, shape them, and then braze them together. So the pieces are constructed. There's nothing cast. It's all a fabricated sculpture piece. The steel fenders and tanks are covered with copper first, and then I take a silver-bearing brazing rod and puddle it over the copper to give it that silver textured look.
You might think a motorcycle like this should be winning custom bike shows. Well, you'd be right.
I've been building these custom copper sculpted bikes for 10 years now. So I've been going to the bike shows for 10 years with my bikes and really enjoy it.
Phew, are they for sale?
Oh yes, yeah. I can't build the next one until I sell the previous one. So this one is for sale now, and I'm excited about the next one. I've gotten some trophies on this bike, so I've documented it, and now I'm on to the next one soon.
Kim knows business all too well, and he has info for you to see more.
Oh yes, yeah, I have quite an extensive website. Yeah, it's brandellstudios.com.
Okay.
And they can see a real range of my work.
Well, that's one interesting trike. Now, to some stuff that I think is pretty interesting. It's time for news. The debate is over. Who has the most reliable motorcycle? Consumer Reports recently released its first ever Most Reliable Motorcycles report. There are some findings that are very interesting in terms of owners reporting problems with their motorcycles in the past 4 years. BMW is the winner, with Harley-Davidson in second. That's not good news. The Japanese manufacturers are all pretty close with customer issues. About 1 in 10 have had problems with their motorcycles compared to 1 in 3 with BMW. However, when it comes to customers being most satisfied with their brand, Harley and BMW are at the top of the list. 75% of Harley owners said that they would buy it again. 74% for BMW, 72% for Honda. Consumer Reports also said that motorcycles with ABS brakes are 37% less likely to be in a fatal crash. You can learn more at consumerreports.org. And two from Powersports Business News. First, motorcycles and ATV sales rose 2% for 2012. I won't bore you with the number of units sold and all that, but safe to say that scooters had the biggest jump with 7.7% of an increase. With just motorcycle sales, they were up 2.6% over 2011. So come on people, buy, buy, buy. And speaking of buying, Suzuki's in the middle of a Chapter 11 reorg. It was reported a few weeks ago that around 200 dealers didn't get renewals from Suzuki to sell motorcycles. Well, I was in Brea, California last week and spoke with representatives from Suzuki. That 200 dealer number is not entirely accurate. In fact, the number of dealers not being renewed is 98, but those 98 of 930 represents only 2.5% of all Suzuki's business in the past 12 months. That leaves Suzuki with 832 brick and mortar stores, and they're looking for more in the near future, I hear. Additional information is at powersportsbusiness.com. Now for some really serious stuff if you're an off-highway vehicle user. The AMA is reporting, quote, the bill H.R. 1187, the Northern Rockies Ecosystem Protection Act, would designate 23 million acres of public land as wilderness. If approved by the full Congress, the measure would close off 23 million acres in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming to off-highway vehicle riders. Now, Representative Carolyn Maloney of New York introduced the bill, even though it's all about the western part of the United States. Wayne Allard, VP of Government Relations for the AMA, said, quote, this is a huge land grab, yet no lawmakers from the affected states have signed on to support the bill. Shouldn't the people who live in those areas have some say in whether they should be banned from riding on public land in their own state? Unquote. There's more about this if you follow the link on the show page on gregsgaragetv.com. It wouldn't hurt to take some action to protect your right to ride. Now, on the lighter side of the news, good news for the second most densely populated state in the Union and the smallest. Rhode Island is going to speed up motorcycle training. WPRI in Providence reported that with only 2 locations statewide for the safety and education programs for motorcycle licenses, there's a backlog of people waiting to get their license. So, the report states that if new legislation passes, people will be allowed to get a motorcycle license on private land, which creates more riding ranges. Way to go, little Massachusetts. I'm just kidding. I mean Rhode Island. Well, since I'm sitting here in front of the computer, let's take you to Worldwide Video. This is our segment where I give you some highlights of cool power sports videos that I've seen around the web. Now, first up, have you ever thought about washing your motorcycle in a self-serve car wash? Well, this Australian gives us tips on how to do it. Our old friend Ricky Bobby is back at it. This Just for Fun flat track fan has Grand National champ Chris Carr in for a cameo.
Rob, as much as I hate to say this, I actually enjoy watching you on film. The midget wrestling stuff is just the tops. I love it.
Grand National champion Rob McClendon here, 2012, riding a Triumph. Got my pit crew. You know, we're just keeping it real like always. What are you looking at, Johnson number 5? Little Johnson? You want a piece of this?
Good night, Robbie Bobby. You need to rest. You have a big race tomorrow. Good night, sweet cheeks.
So, what is a Graves Yamaha R1, 4-time XDL stunt champ Bill Dixon, a fast car, a fast helicopter, and smoke have in common? Drifting.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
World-renowned freestyle motocross guy Ronnie Renner took a trip to Germany to ride, get this, KTM's Freeride E motorbike. Network A was there to cover it.
Welcome to Germany. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, somewhere outside of Munich, trying to find the Autobahn so we can make our way to Austria. Gonna go to KTM, gonna go to Red Bull, got all kinds of fun stuff planned. Hopefully we can do it before the sun goes down, at least get there. They kind of welcomed us with open arms, had a bunch of bikes laid out, and basically went straight to riding the Freeride E, which is KTM's bike in development. It's a electric motorcycle.
And this one, a news story from KXAN in Austin, Texas, about Rafik Khalisi, who makes motorcycles from junk.
Khalisi makes his motorcycles from junk parts, and the first one took Best of Show honors at a bike show in Dallas. Since then, Khalisi has created 9 more, no two alike, including the one police always pull over because he is wearing its gas tank on his back.
I'm like, what did I do? He goes, nothing, but what is that thing on your back? I'm like, it's the gas tank. He goes, what? You're wearing the gas tank? I said, yes. I'm the only one in the world that actually wear the gas tank.
Khalisi won't sell his creations. Instead, he'd like to lease them to movie production companies and maybe one day exhibit them in a museum.
Ooh, gas tank on the back? Good for you, man. I'd have my helmet on for sure. And speaking of helmets, when you stop riding to eat or hang, where do you put your helmet? Well, how about locking it to your bike in a new way?
Right, this is a Helmetlok, our Helmetlok Mark II. It's basically a locking carabiner to lock your helmet to your bike. You pull back on the 2 levers, lift, so it's outward opening. Slip the carabiner through the D-shackle of your helmet. And then basically lock it to wherever it'll fit on your bike. Handlebars, grab rails, back racks, sissy bars, etc. Comes with a lanyard today. The lanyard's nice. Put the lanyard on there, run the cable up the inside of your jacket sleeve, lock that to your bike as well. Helmet and cable locked to your bike. The nice thing about locking a jacket to your bike is that if you do ride with an expensive helmet, you can throw your jacket over the helmet so nobody knows what's under there. And that's basically it. It's very simple. Sells for $31 as a combination in the shop. Otherwise, these are $25 in the shop. These sell for $8 separately. We have another accessory for Schubert and Nolan owners. It's called a Helmetlok extension. Fits through the ratchet latch, and then lock that to your bike as well. More information is available on helmetlok.com or rockycreekdesigns.com.au. Thank you.
Well, one guy who has the U.S. Flat Track Grand National Dirt Track paddock on lockdown is number one plate Jared Mees. Welcome to the garage, Jared. What's going on?
Oh, just hanging out, man. A little downtime after Daytona, and it's actually starting to warm up here in Michigan. So, light at the end of the tunnel with the snow gone.
It's warming up in Michigan, really? Like how warm is warm, pal?
Actually, Saturday, a couple days ago, it was up around 55 degrees, but then crazy Michigan weather, we're back down to like 34 today. But it's coming. The warm weather's definitely coming. Our ice is pretty much all gone, and the motocrossing opened up here around local. So we'll be motocrossing, and the weather will be breaking here pretty quick.
All right, now there's some people that have tuned into the show that may not know much about yourself or Flat Track. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about who you are?
I started racing motorcycles when I was 6 years old. I never really raced anything but dirt track, and started out on a PW50, worked my way up. I turned pro when I was 16 years old in 2002, and right before, I didn't really actually think I was going to make it my career until about 2000 when I started riding for Pat Maroney at a Newburgh, New York, Maroney's Harley Davidson, and got some support from him. And he basically said, man, I think you could be a big player at this. And from there on, I just put all my eggs in dirt track and was able to become pretty successful at it.
Well, where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Honeybrook, Pennsylvania, and now I live in Clio, Michigan. Moved to Michigan about 2005, 2006, and I've been here ever since.
So tell us about Flat Track, because there's some people that may not even have seen a Flat Track race before. Sure, MotoGP maybe, Supercross definitely, but Flat Track, tell us more about that sport, what it's all about.
Flat Track's really unique. It's a little bit more older school type of racing, definitely. I think it's the oldest form of racing out there still today. But it's, the XR750 is really what a dirt track motorcycle is about. It's a purposely built dirt track motorcycle. Everything's hand one-off made. In the twins class, everything's one-off made, whether you're riding the new Kawasaki's that seem to be pretty hot on the horizon, or a Ducati or a Harley. It's a custom-made frame. Most of the time people are using the Penske rear shocks, and they're assembled, like I said, by hand in the garage. And we go out there, we race all different types of tracks. We race a short track, which is anything under a half mile is considered to be a short track, mainly quarter mile or smaller. There's a TT, which consists of one jump and at least one right-hander. Then there's the half mile, and we race on all different types of surfaces. P-Rock limestone, which is kind of like your horse track, or like a sprint car clay-based track, which is kind of like your Hagerstown or your Stockton type of a racetrack. And then we have the legendary miles, which you also can have different types of surfaces on those: limestone, clay, whatever. Springfield Miles is a clay-based track. So to be the overall Grand National champion, you have to be successful on all four of those racetracks, because at the end of the year, they add all the points up on all the different types of racetrack, and whoever has the most points becomes Grand National number one. The half miles and miles consist of a twin-cylinder engine. The short tracks and TTs are a single-cylinder engine, so more of your basic 450, CR450 Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, and that's more of a production-based kind of a class. It's a rule that we have to run the OEM homologated chassis, standard valve sizes. Basically, we're allowed to lower the suspension, put 19-inch dirt track wheels on them, do a little, engine modifications to them, and basically we got to go and run them as is. We can't cut the frames or modify the frames. You know, got to run stock bore and stroke, of course. Flat track, we have a spec tire, and we also have a spec fuel rule, and it's basically about it. Wide open.
So tell me what distinguishes flat track from all other forms of motorcycle racing. What makes it so exciting?
I would say the going over 100 miles an hour on dirt within centimeters of your competitor, sideways to the stops, letting it all hang out. I think that's what really, when you take a guy to turn one at Springfield Mile where they're about 4 inches from where we're entering the corner, and you put him there, I think if you can't excite a guy there, he's not excited about motorcycles at all. That is the one thing that is really cool about flat track. You really have to go to a race and watch one to really respect it and see the whole atmosphere of it. I mean, TV, it's cool, yeah. I mean, it's pretty exciting, but it's really exciting going and watching it live. We're like nothing against road racing or anything, but when I go to a road race and I watch it, it's just like you can only see this part of the racetrack if you're standing there. Where dirt track, flat track, you get in the grandstands, you can see the whole race, and the whole thing is exciting, very, very exciting. Road racing to me is pretty exciting on the TV, but like watching it live, it's like, man, I wish I would have seen over there what happened. You know, flat track, you can see everything for most racetracks. So I think that's what's really exciting about it. It's pretty intense, and when we get on those miles, we'll get in a lead pack. You know, we'll have anywhere between 7, 8 guys to, you know, I've seen them go 12 deep before, you know, and last 5 laps, you don't know who's going to win that race.
It's crazy. All right, stick around for a little bit. We're going to have more with Jared. But right now, it's off to California to check out Honda's 2013 VFR1200F with a twist, dual clutch transmission. Just like a sports car, it has manual mode and fully automatic mode. Yep, no clutch with the left handlebar and no shifter down at your feet. A closer look at the Honda VFR1200F shows combined braking with ABS, dual discs in the front, single in the rear, the typical VFR beautiful single-sided swing arm, which houses the low centerline drive shaft. Now the bodywork is MotoGP inspired with a fastener-free surface that's aero stuff. But the big deal about this bike, the dual clutch transmission or DCT, with automatic or manual paddle shifter options. You can put it in auto mode, twist the grip and go, or use your left finger, thumb to control the shifts up and down. The VFR has Honda's first ever production throttle-by-wire system. Honda has listed it in the sport category, but for me, put some bags on it and it's more of a sport touring motorcycle for sure. So I just spent a couple hours on the 2013 Honda VFR1200 with DCT, dual clutch transmission. I've never experienced anything like it. I have such habits of every time I roll up to a stoplight, I want to grab the clutch and shift, and every time somebody's getting ready to pull out in front of me, I want to have good RPM. So it was a bit of getting used to, and my head was really wrapped up in the transmission. Now, basically you have a couple of different modes on this VFR. You have automatic transmission, and in the automatic transmission you have 2 modes. One of them is S for sport mode, and that carries a little bit more RPM for you, makes it a little bit sportier. But automatic transmission is roll and go. Then you have your manual transmission, and in your manual transmission, you have paddle shifters on the left bar that you can work downshifts with your thumb and upshifts with your index finger. Now for me, I found the manual transmission part was a little bit better because I really like to manage my RPM. I like to keep good RPM in there. So I have instant throttle response either way, whether I'm accelerating or decelerating. Now, the thing I really didn't get to do was to start assessing the rest of the motorcycle, the suspension, the chassis, how your body fits on it. But that's a testament to how good the Honda really is, because I didn't have to think about it. It's a Honda. It does everything so well. The seating position was great. The windscreen was fantastic. I could see out of the mirrors just fine. It was smooth. I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic motorcycle. So if you're in this situation where you've ridden motorcycles before and maybe you're just not able to work that clutch, maybe you're not able to shift with your left foot, maybe there's something wrong, maybe arthritis has set in or pain, or you're missing some strength, then this is the motorcycle that's going to get you back in the saddle and back to motorcycle freedom. So check out Honda's website for the latest information on the VFR1200, or even better, get off the couch, turn your computer off when the show's over, and get down to the Honda dealer and check out the VFR1200. Comes in two models, the traditional shift and dual clutch transmission. You're gonna love it. We're back with reigning flat track champ Jared Mees, who's with us via Skype from Michigan. Would you race with paddle shifters?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the paddle shift might be all right for your Sunday cruiser guy, but for flat track racing or any kind of racing, I can't see where it would be an advantage or even be the same as manual shifting. But
yeah.
Hey, everybody's got their own thing, right?
Right. I mean, you guys don't even have front brakes on those things, do you?
No, just on the TTs only.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about 2012. Let's talk about your championship and how it happened, you know, because it's got to be an amazing feeling to be the reigning champ right now. So tell us a little bit about 2012.
Well, it started off really good for me in Daytona last year, even though the last lap incident with me and Johnny Lewis there didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to. But, you know, to have a good Daytona like I had last year as far as points-wise was the best Daytona for me. And it really set the bar pretty high. And then the next race, we pretty much took the lead from there, and we pretty much built it up into a pretty successful lead at one point. There was, for a while there, me and Jake Johnson were playing the cat and mouse, and we were playing like, I forget what the numbers were, but I think it was like a 5 or 6 point difference. In every race, I would get 5, and the next race he would get 5. And we stayed like the same points, like it was like 11 and 15, 11 and 15. So I think it was like 4 or 5 points or something we spread difference, and we played that game for a long time. And then we had a couple races like Castle Rock, Peoria, and I think Indy back to back, and I was able to beat him in those races. Indy, he actually crashed out and couldn't make the restart, so I gained a pretty good points gap there. And then we went to Knoxville, and I broke, and I pretty much lost all that nice points gap I had. I think I had like a 25 point lead or something. Dropped it all the way back down to like 11 or something like that, and we had to pretty much be on our toes from there on out for sure. We went to Springfield and had a successful run at Springfield, and was able to pretty much bring it home. It was a I wouldn't say an up and down season last year by no means, or an up and down roller coaster championship. We had really one bad race the whole time, which was Knoxville breaking, and pretty much every weekend we were very consistent on the podium or just missing it by one. And I think that's what it took to win the championship. The year before, 2011, I won 5 races, didn't win the championship. In 2009, when I won the championship, I didn't win any races. And then last year I won 1 race at Hagerstown and win the championship. So it's hard to say. It was like, you know, one year I'm like, oh, the only thing I'm missing is just race wins. So I go bang out more race wins than anybody, more race wins I ever won in my career 1 year, and didn't win the championship. Then I go last year and I win 1 race. It just a lot depends on your competitors, what they're doing as far as results and luck, what kind of racetracks are on the circuit that benefit you and others. I mean, yeah, there's riders out there that excel more on like this type of racetrack, and there's more that excel on this type of racetrack. Even though to be the Grand National Champion, you have to be, you know, the best guy out of all of them and do the best you can on all of them. There's still, you know, if you got a series or a schedule that has 5 of these racetracks that's to your liking versus 5 to like Jake Johnson's liking, then it'll play in one's favor. But for the most part, we had a really amazing year last year, and it was a dream come true, definitely to pull that off. We had a little bit of bad luck at the end of 2011 with the championship. It really was going our way, and then the very last couple races just went south, and it really put a bitter taste in my mouth about not coming out on top then. So we came out, like I said, swinging at Daytona last year, and I really think that's what set the bar for us.
Tell me a little bit about the schedule and where you guys are going to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we kicked it off at Daytona during bike week. We had a doubleheader down there. That's where we always kick off at. The next round is actually in Stockton, California, May 11th, which is a new racetrack. New everything for us. It was just built a couple months ago, actually. They just had their first World Outlaw race pretty recent, and it was a really big hit. Usually our next round isn't until Springfield, which is Memorial Day, but we're getting the opportunity to go out to Stockton, California and race out there, which is really cool. Definitely like getting on the West Coast. There's a lot of enthusiasts out there. Next, we have the Springfield Mile. We usually have the Springfield TT, but it's not on the schedule this year. They've opted to take the year off as far as the singles races. So we go to Springfield, then we got Lima. We got about 14 events right now that are solid, set in stone. Indy Mile, Sacramento, Santa Rosa Mile. It's Hagerstown, Maryland, one of my hometown ones. And there's a couple other that are on the horizon, but until they're on the schedule, it's not really too worth getting anybody pumped up about. But we're definitely going all over the United States for sure. Washington State up there, we're there twice. California quite a bit. Years past, we didn't really get out to the West Coast too much, but the last couple of years we have. And heck, I think like half the races we have this year are on the West Coast. So definitely be doing some traveling, that's for sure.
Well, cool, man. Well, listen, we wish you lots of luck, and you're going to come back to the garage from time to time and give us an update on what's going on in the season?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to keeping all the fans and keeping more people interested in dirt track, and it's going to be exciting season for sure. The players I named, I mean, they're all hungry, and it's really is anybody's game, but I think we have a really solid team behind us to regain the #1 plate and give it our all for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us here, and good luck. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's move on. It's time for Motorcycle Slang, that part of the show where we talk about words or phrases that have hung up new motorcycle riders. And today's word, contact patch. Now, the phrase contact patch is used to identify, quite simply, where the rubber meets the road. So there you have it. But there's a lot more to contact patch than people realize. In speaking with Dunlop tire technicians, the way they explain the contact patch and how it changes as the lean angle of the motorcycle changes is really interesting. Now, the best grip is straight up and down. Most people understand that. You don't have as much grip leaned over, and there's several reasons for that. But one is the reduced size of the contact patch. But times they are changing, my friends. Dunlop told me that the ultimate goal is to get as much contact patch on the side of the tire as you would have straight up and down. And they're very close to doing that. Now, you still have to fight physics of being leaned over. You have the surface temperature, air pressure in the tire, the actual makeup of the surface, your riding style. All these things affect tire grip. But with the goal of having as much grip leaned over as straight up and down, that will allow people to go quicker, safer. So there you have it, contact patch, you're in the know. And if you have a word or phrase that you're not sure about or would like a little more explanation, please send me a message at show@gregsgaragetv.com. One more thing before we get going. See this t-shirt that I'm wearing? They are for sale. If you go to the website, you can go to gregsgaragetv.com/store and you can order yourself one while supplies last. Now, when you buy a shirt, it really helps to keep the show going. A real special thanks to Will Fulford from fastanddirty.com because he supplied us with all that awesome Jared Mees footage. Thanks for watching, and remember, spread the word. The more views we get, the longer the show stays on the web, and the more stories we get to tell. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.